Mr. Sterling, many people would call your business tactics ruthless. How do you justify your action? Welcome to the show, everyone. Today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Richard Sterling, former CEO of Sterling Tech. Mr. Sterling led his company to unprecedented heights, but his career has also been marked by controversy. He's been described as a visionary, a ruthless competitor, and even a Machiavellian. Richard, welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's interesting to hear those labels, but I'm here to talk, so let's get to it.
Our goal isn't to condone or condemn your strategies, but to really understand the mindset behind them, the reality of power dynamics in the business world. Sound fair?
Fair enough. I'm an open book. Within reason, of course.
Great. We're aiming for a candid conversation, so I will be asking for specific examples, honest reflection. Are you ready to delve into some of the less comfortable moments of your career?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. Let's do it.
Let's start at the beginning. Can you describe an early situation where you felt compelled to use a, let's say, unconventional tactic to achieve a goal? What were the stakes?
All right. Early on, when Sterling Tech was just a startup, we were competing for a crucial contract with a major government agency. This contract would have essentially guaranteed our survival for the next 5 years. We were up against a much larger, more established company.
So David versus Goliath?
Exactly. They had the resources, the connections, everything. We had ingenuity and a burning desire to win. We knew their proposal was technically inferior, but they had an in with someone on the evaluation committee. We found out about it through, let's just say, diligent research,
Diligent research,
meaning we uncovered some indiscretions. Nothing illegal, mind you, but definitely unethical. Information that would raise serious questions about their integrity if it came to light.
and you use that information.
We made sure the right people were aware of it. An anonymous tip, you could say. Suddenly, their in wasn't so helpful anymore. We won the contract.
That's quite a story. Did you consider the impact on the other company, the individual involved? Did you experience any moral conflict at the time?
Of course, I considered it. But my responsibility was to my company, my employees, their families. Their livelihoods depended on securing that contract. It was a matter of survival. As for moral conflict, look, in the real world, sometimes you have to make tough choices. Choices that aren't always black and white.
So the ends justified the means.
In that situation, yes, I believe they did. We were fighting for our lives. It wasn't personal, it was business.
Looking back, Mr. Sterling, do you think there was another way, a less aggressive approach that could have achieved the same result?
Perhaps. But in the moment, with the pressure we were under, I honestly don't see it. We needed to act decisively, and we did, and it worked.
Let's move on to the topic of deception. Can you give me a specific example of when you used deception to gain a significant advantage? Walk me through the planning, the execution.
Okay, this was a few years later. We were trying to acquire a smaller competitor, a company called Innovatech. They had a cutting edge technology that we desperately needed to stay ahead of the curve, but they weren't interested in selling. Their CEO, a stubborn guy named Harrison, was convinced his company was worth far more than it actually was.
So, how did you change his mind?
We started a rumor, a carefully planted story that a much larger company, a global conglomerate, was also interested in acquiring Innovatech. We leaked this information to a few key industry publications, making sure it would get back to Harrison.
A false flag, essentially?
Precisely. Harrison, thinking he had multiple suitors, became much more receptive to negotiations. He thought he could play us off each other, drive up the price. What he didn't know was that the other company didn't exist. We acquired Innovatech for a fraction of what he initially wanted.
What was the impact on Harrison, on Innovatech? Did they eventually find out the truth?
They did eventually figure it out, yes. Harrison was not pleased, but by then it was too late. The deal was done. As for the impact, well, Innovatech became an integral part of Sterling Tech. Their technology thrived, their employees benefited from our resources. In the long run, it was a good thing for everyone involved, except perhaps for Harrison's ego.
Did you feel any remorse deceiving him like that?
Look, nobody likes being deceived. But in the business world, information is a weapon, and we used it to our advantage. Again, it wasn't personal. It was about securing the best possible outcome for my company.
These tactics involved significant power dynamics. Did you ever consciously exploit vulnerabilities or weaknesses in your opponents to maintain control?
Absolutely. Understanding your opponent's weaknesses is crucial in any negotiation, any competition. It's like a game of chess. You need to anticipate their moves, identify their vulnerabilities, and exploit them to gain an advantage.
Can you give me an example?
There was a situation where we were negotiating a major partnership with another tech company. Their CEO was brilliant, but he had a reputation for being insecure. He craved validation, constantly sought approval from others.
And you used that against him?
We subtly played to his ego. We praised his vision, his intelligence, his leadership. We made him feel like he was the most important person in the room. As a result, he became much more willing to concede points, to agree to our terms. It was a calculated strategy, but it worked wonders.
Let's talk about motivations. What drove you, Mr. Sterling? What are your core beliefs about success, competition, and ethics?
I believe in winning. I believe in pushing the boundaries, in achieving the impossible. I believe that success is not a matter of luck, but of strategy, determination, and, sometimes, a willingness to do what others won't.
Do you see yourself as fundamentally different from others? Someone willing to cross lines that others wouldn't?
Perhaps. I'm not afraid to make tough decisions. I'm not afraid to take risks. And I'm not afraid to be unpopular if it means achieving my goals.
You've been described as assertive, competitive, even risk taking. How have these traits contributed to your success and perhaps to your Machiavellian tendencies?
Those traits are essential for success in the business world. You need to be assertive to make your voice heard, competitive to stay ahead of the curve, and willing to take risks to seize opportunities. Without those qualities, you'll be left behind.
Do you have any regrets about your past actions? Do you ever question whether the ends truly justified the means?
Of course, I've had moments of doubt, moments where I wondered if I could have done things differently. But ultimately, I stand by my decisions. I believe that I acted in the best interests of my company, my employees, and my shareholders. And I'm proud of what we accomplished.
What about the personal cost? Has your approach impacted your relationships, your health, your overall well being?
There's always a price to pay for success: the long hours, the stress, the constant pressure. It takes a toll. And yes, it has impacted my relationships. It's not easy being married to someone who's constantly working, constantly traveling, constantly making tough decisions. But my family understands. They know that I'm doing it for them.
Sterling Tech operated in a particularly cutthroat environment. Were Machiavellian tactics common practice in your industry?
The tech industry is incredibly competitive. Everyone is fighting for market share, for talent, for funding. And yes, Machiavellian tactics are not uncommon. It's a dog eat dog world out there.
Was your behavior driven by necessity, by survival, or by personal ambition? Did you feel you had no other choice?
It was a combination of both. There were times when we were fighting for our survival, when we had no other choice but to use every weapon at our disposal. But there were also times when I was driven by ambition, by a desire to be the best, to build something great. And I'm not ashamed of that.
What are the broader implications of Machiavellianism in business and society? What are the potential dangers of unchecked ambition and unethical behavior?
Unchecked ambition can lead to corruption, to abuse of power, to all sorts of negative consequences. It's important to have ethical boundaries, to have a sense of right and wrong, but it's also important to be realistic about the world we live in. Sometimes, you have to be willing to play the game to win.
What actionable lessons can viewers learn from your experiences about power dynamics, negotiation tactics, and the psychology of influence? Lessons they can apply ethically in their own lives.
Learn to recognize manipulation tactics, be aware of your own vulnerabilities, understand the motivations of others, set clear boundaries, and always, always trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is.
So, to summarize, we've explored the complex world of Machiavellianism through your experiences, Mr. Sterling. We've seen how ambition, strategy, and a willingness to bend the rules can lead to success, but also to ethical dilemmas and personal costs. It's a delicate balance, isn't it?
It is, and it's a balance that everyone has to find for themselves.
Mr. Sterling, in the pursuit of success, where do you draw the line?